Today we set off from Averham near Newark along the Trent Valley Way to Radcliffe-on-Trent. Starting next to Averham Church, the route heads south to pick up the Trent Valley Way, quickly passing under the Averham rail viaduct alongside the River Trent. While the route initially follows the river's path south past the Staythorpe Power Station, after a short distance, due to an obstruction, there's an unplanned diversion west across the fields to the village of Rolleston. Following Fiskerton Road out of the village east, and then south, the route rejoins the Riverside Trent Valley Way in Fiskerton itself. Continuing next, roughly south, the route follows alongside the riverbank on the field paths, passing Hazleford Lock and then the nearby villages of Bleasby and Gibbsmere. After this, the route passes southward, across the narrow land bridge near the Nottingham Sailing Club, and then, after passing the village of Hoveringham, briefly picks up the roadway before returning to the fields and the riverside for another couple of miles. As the Trent turns westward into Gunthorpe, the route passes through this village and then cuts south over the Gunthorpe Bridge, leaving the Trent Valley Way to go southeastward alongside the A6097 road. It then heads down the East Bridgeford Road south before turning west along Shelford Road for a short distance, and after that takes a field path westward to the village of Shelford. Departing the village southwestward along a field path once more, the route passes the No Joke plantation and then rejoins the Trent Valley Way as it climbs up Gibbet Hill to finally finish alongside the weir at Radcliffe-on-Trent.
Good morning, llama walking fans. Well, today we are in the charming Nottinghamshire village of Averham, and we're going to take a walk alongside the River Trent on the Trent Valley route. It's a route I've done before, a couple of times. It's got lots to recommend it, really. Not least the fact that you start off by walking past a gas-powered power station, which is a little bit more unusual. You don't often get to walk past power stations. So we're starting off close to the church. We more or less have to cross over a bit of the river and then take a bit of a jink to the left before we actually get to the Trent itself. And that is Averham Church. It's quite a nice view you get of it when you come around the back. It's a very convenient car park close to it, so if you park in a weekday like I am, yeah, good starting point for a hike. It's kind of cool that the power station's got its own little dedicated railway line, which I presume is to bring in supplies and material and gas, maybe. I don't know. Or is gas pump there? I don't know enough about power stations really. But it is important that this little bit of railway marks our approach finally after to the River Trent itself. There it is, about half a mile from our starting point. And as always good to go under something. Now this little stretch past the power station is actually quite nice because it gives you a beautiful view of the Trent. There's a very, very well maintained path that's it's all weather suitable. And once in a while a little bit of genuine industrial heritage type buildings are nice to walk past. There's also a fair amount of interesting bird life around here, different to what I've seen on the canals. For example, gulls down there. What kind of gull they are, I'm never sure. Are they terns? Are they black-headed gulls? But you always seem to find them down here. There is also, though, I found a lot more bugs flying in the air on this route. I've got some bug spray on me, so I'm kind of hoping I'm not going to get bitten to death along this stretch of the river. Grantham Canal a couple of weeks ago, I got a massive welt on my arm from something biting or stinging me. So kind of hoping not. Oh, I can see some ducks or geese on the Trent in the distance. It's a bit overcast at the moment. It's about 20 degrees, 21 degrees. Very humid again. This seems to be the theme of this June in the Midlands. But good walking to be had. Coming away from Trent for a short stretch. Last time I did the full route down here, I got totally lost at this bit. They've at least got the signage a little better now. However, I did end up falling on my ass in the middle of a load of nettles, losing a bottle of energy drink I had with me. Yeah, generally stinging myself all down one of my sides. So this time I've been extra careful to pick out the right bit of the route. And I have to say, being unstung, much preferable. But yes, this section though, we are on a little farm track for a little while, and then shortly after this we get to rejoin the Trent side again. It is, I suppose, that one difference between walking canal routes and walking routes alongside rivers. You've got no guarantee that the footpath will actually continue all the way alongside them. So you quite often do get these diversions and extra bits to do. On the other hand, you get to look at some nice crops in the field and also admire the excessive number of pylons that you can find near Newark. Well, this is, or still is, a more interesting diversion than I expected. As I walk through what is a golden field of cereal. Thought you could really continue a lot closer to the Trent on this bit, but now the memory is coming back to me that I ended up getting diverted off last time. It was very obsessively diverted because farmers were bolting gates that I thought you could go through. I thought, well, you know, farmers bolting it right now, I'm not going to be the one to go and argue. Luckily though, there was a local fellow walking up a side path and locals know the routes that I don't, and I have managed to find the track, although being Nottinghamshire, it is very, very poorly marked. About one field marker every 2 or 3 fields at most. However, having seen that field marker as I came in here, that does mean I am back on the right route. It does mean that, unfortunately, as well, I have to get up to the road ahead of me, which is just marked there. You can see by that line. Oh, that looks very refreshing. That's a spray of water. And then just go left and carry on south until I can find the route back to the River Trent, which I hope won't be too long. But yeah, there's already turning into more fields on this route than anticipated. But you know, beautiful walking through something as golden and lush as this. It'll make a tasty cereal crop or some lovely bread, I'm sure. My wife will probably now tell me it's barley and you're not going to make bread from it, but... or is it bearded wheat? Again, never entirely sure. So I'm now in Rolleston. Wasn't expecting to be in Rolleston, and having checked my map and the route I've just come, I've worked out basically that farmer who bolted the gate was bolting a legitimate route ahead. So that'll be reported to the council. Now there might, maybe, have been an alternative route around. It didn't appear to be anything at all. But if it was very poorly marked. So, like I say, Nottingham, you're not doing very well today in terms of being accessible for hikers. Blocked routes and poor signage. And while it has taken me away from the Trent, it's probably actually cut about 2/3 of a mile off my total route I'd planned. And it means I get to walk through a charming village, which is not all that bad. But it is a real shame because, you know, I was hoping to walk all the way along the Trent today on that Trent Valley route, and having it blocked, I'm not best pleased with. But never mind, the walk continues with just a bit of a kink in it. No, it's not rain, it's just the water being squirted on the field, and actually it's quite nice. Now the question is, am I going to manage to make it all the way past this before it completes the revolution? No, I'm not, it's coming back for me. I'm going to get wet. Oh dear. Oh well, it's refreshing. Oh. Well, here we are back along the Trent as we come into the delightful village of Fiskerton. Fun fact, this was the first place I came walking after the first lockdown let us out and about again. It's a fabulous place. So yes, I decided to stay on the road rather than trying to track back to the Trent. I concluded it was going to add a mile and a half unnecessarily to my route, and you only come out again here. So a bit of road walking, a slight soaking as you saw. That was quite nice actually. But now we are back on the Trent route as I expected to be. Hopefully we're not going to get any more unexpected diversions, but how do we know? Landowners and farmers can be challenging to the hiker at times, and it's all well and good being able to report them afterwards. Just on the day when you can't go down the route, it's a bit annoying. But let's forget about that. Let's just enjoy this walk. Some very nice big posh boats down here. There's also a very nice looking pub, I can recall, at the end of this particular stretch of very high bank. I mean, I don't know if it's going to show up that well on camera, but it's quite a drop there. There's also some fabulous looking houses along here as well, so if you like a property prom, this is a good place to come. If you like views though as well, it's also pretty damned awesome. So beyond Fiskerton now, and on what is a basically long stretch that doesn't actually pass through any real villages or the like for quite some miles. One thing is noticeable around here is there's a lot more fishermen by the side of the river than there were down the canal. I don't think I saw anybody down the last two canal walks fishing, but here I've passed about 4 or 5 in the last half a mile. Maybe the fishing is good in the Trent and not so good in the canal. Maybe the geese have eaten it all in the canals. But yeah, it's not such a bad path. I mean, it's dry enough, it's springy enough. I'm slightly missing the road because I made very good progress along the roads. But on the other hand, the scenery down here is much better, and I don't have to keep dodging cars every 5 seconds. Will you look at that? And that's what I call a weir. Just beyond it is Hazleford Lock. There's actually some canal part there, which then rejoins the Trent. I can see a heron sit on the barrage there. But yeah, this is a pretty fabulous bit of the route. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go back through some clapper gates in a minute and lose sight of it. Oh no! Love clapper gates, look at that. Clap. Clap. And then, ooh, I say, ferns. Or something. I think they're all something probably. There you go, look at that, isn't that a magnificent sight? We're on rather a fun strip of land at the moment. About a mile or so to the left is the River Trent. And just over those hedges over there, it's also the River Trent. It is a strip between lands that runs between 2 rivers, so it's the same river twice, I guess. It does make for a nice walking area, but it does also mean there's not an easy way to turn off this route now you're on it. You gotta keep on going with Gunthorpe still a few miles ahead. It's also been interesting, I've continued to see lots of signs for fishermen and different angling clubs as you're travelling along. Clearly there's different areas of this strip of river that are enclosed for different groups. So I guess you have to join the right one to get the right bit of territory, or to make sure you can get access to the bit you want to fish. Honestly, who'd be a fisherman? Sitting still all day, that is not for me. Certainly more active canal boats here than there were on the Grantham Canal. Passed one about 20 minutes ago that was going very quickly down here. I guess it's a big wide open channel so you can go at a decent speed. Has to be said though, the exposed nature of this track is very different to the canal. With the canal, you're rarely that far from trees or buildings. Here, as you can probably hear from the wind, it's a lot more exposed. I'm lucky today is overcast. I mean, less lucky because that does mean the humidity is higher, but I'm lucky in the sense of there's not the sun beating down on me with very little shade. I do recall last time I did this, it wasn't a very sunny day with no clouds in the sky, so as a result, it's a relief. Oh, look, exciting tractor action there. Thankfully, just next to the field I'm going to, I believe they're cutting some hay. Excellent. And I believe we're about to come to the next village on here, or the first village for ages, but it's actually just off my current map, so I'm going to adjust it and work out where exactly I am right now. Well, the total exposure on this route continues. I had really forgotten how few were the sections that were tree lined on this side. It looks gorgeous on the other side of the river, but you can't get to that from here because there are literally no bridges for about 10 miles. So, still north of Gunthorpe. Passed through a field of cows shortly, a few minutes ago. Watched one idiot with a dog taking his dog far too close to the cows. Honestly, mate, keep your dog away, even if it's on a leash. Particularly if there's calves in the field. Idiot. So, yeah. I have to say though, I mean, it's a nice enough route, but this is nothing compared to the routes I've been doing in recent weeks. It is a lot more tedious. It's also a lot more accessible from the road, a lot more little car parks and things, so you sort of run into more people, so you don't quite get the same feeling of independence walking along here. Which is a shame. But, you know, if it's your thing, you can come and park here, walk a short stretch of it, it's probably perfectly nice. But for me, I think next time I'm going to do something that's a little more isolated, off the beaten track as it were. Because, I mean, today's a weekday, and I'm still running into people about every, you know, quarter of a mile or so on, and a lot more when you get near the bits of habitation. Whereas on the Grantham Canal, didn't see anyone for hours. Glorious. Mrs. Llama phoned me 5 minutes ago to say, "Where are you?" My answer of "somewhere down by the Trent," she said, wasn't very helpful. But this is the problem. There's not many identifying marks as you're walking down this stretch. However, we do appear to be approaching something with people again, so maybe I'll be able to work out exactly where I am. Okay, now unless I totally miss my guess, I think this is Gunthorpe Lock. Oh look, there's a sign saying Gunthorpe Lock just over there. So that answers my question. So excellent, coming into the edge of Gunthorpe. That's good, because that was my short range target. Everything beyond this point is bonus walk. So yes, Gunthorpe Bridge. I'm sure it's a classic of a certain design aesthetic. It is, however, for my intents and purposes, the first opportunity I've had to cross the Trent pretty much since I started the route 11.5 miles ago. So yes, crossing onto the other bank of the Trent now, because while the route does continue along there, and it looks like quite a lovely route, there is again not another chance to cross back onto the Trent until I think you virtually reach Nottingham. And that is another good 10 miles away, and that's not where I want to end up today. I'm ending up, I hope, somewhere on the other bank. However, we've got to traverse down this busy road for a little while before I can find the route back in. I did look, there was actually a little path there, sort of shut off little road down here and a side road, but I was just looping myself away from this direct route, and at this point, direct route seemed the good way to go. So a double combo of woe coming out of Gunthorpe. About a quarter to a third of a mile down the road, there's supposed to be a route across the fields that continues the Trent Valley Way. That was the point at which there was a massive traffic queue due to roadworks, which made it impossible to cross the road or indeed see where the path was. It's about a field or so over that way at the moment. Luckily, another quarter of a mile further on, there's a side road that goes roughly in the same direction. But again, have to say, Trent Valley Way, poorly marked by Nottinghamshire County Council. Really is quite shocking. I mean, you cross the border of Leicestershire and the signs are just so much more obvious and so much more regular. Oh, I've also managed to slash myself on some of the roadside verges as well, which isn't a great deal of fun. Luckily, I've got my antiseptic spray, so I've dealt with that. But yeah, just brushed against the bush. It was just a bit too spiky. And oh, I've got blood all over my arm. Fantastic. Clean it up with some water, a few wipes, and then antiseptic spray to seal. So nothing major, but just an irritation. A bit like taking this diversion down the road. I suppose the one advantage is it's a little more sheltered from the wind when we're walking down by the Trent. It's also still not blazingly hot. It's still really quite humid. But thankfully, I'm not baking at the same time, because walking on this tarmac at this point, you know, we're over 12 miles now, wouldn't be a great deal of fun. Yes, I know, I do this walking all the time. You're thinking, why? It's not a great deal of fun a lot of the time. I still do it. Because think of the memories I get to take home afterwards. Memories of walking down roads like this for miles. I think hopefully as we come into Newton, just ahead there, there is a right turn on the road I can see that we take. And then, after another quarter of a mile, third of a mile, we can then pick up the route I originally intended across the fields. You know, provided it's obvious or the farmer hasn't blocked it. You know how these are going today. My luck is not with me, I feel, today. At last. Off the road and back on to some fields. It's a bit of a zigzaggy route, which I presume means it's going to the bottom of that field, then left, and then right, and then left, then right. But you know what, at this point, I don't much care. I'm no longer walking on the hard tarmac of the road, and my intended end point is about 2.5 miles over that way. So let's see if we can get to that. Oh, I do hope there's not many hills back up I have to go. Nice looking soil though, very red. Not more characteristic of Lincolnshire than it is of Leicestershire, and obviously I'm in Nottinghamshire, so oh, well, after a not so unpleasant walk through some trees and some fields, we're coming up on the edge of Shelford, which should be the penultimate part of this route. Oh, I can tell you this, humidity, it's really getting to me today. Definitely hotter walking through these fields and down by the river than it was along the canal last week. It definitely makes for a more tiring experience, shall we say. Not quite sure if I'm on 13 miles yet, but I must be around that point on the route. My rough guesstimate said this was about a 14-mile route, but knowing me, it'll probably be 14 to 15 miles. I'm notorious for getting the last little bit wrong, let alone all the little diversions we had, which will of course slightly upset my tracking. But this seems a very charming part of the world. I'm relatively isolated since there's no bridges across the Trent here either. And you actually come here if you want to come here. It's not really on the way to anywhere much, except myself. The next village after it. Oh, Foggy White Horse. Hello, Foggy White Horse. Well, I checked the mileometer and I'm actually slightly further along than I thought I was, because I'm already over 15 miles. But this should be the final stretch heading to Radcliffe-on-Trent. It's quite a pleasant thing to do. A little pathway between the villages. Nice trees up there. Long grasses down here. There's actually one other person on the path as well, just ahead of me. That's a little more unusual. Didn't expect to see anyone this time of day. And since we are coming towards the end of another Walking with Llama Paws trek, it's your regular reminder to like this video. And if you've really liked it and you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have friends and family who might enjoy watching these videos, encourage them by sharing this on all your social media, family newsletter, Christmas, chain letters, you know, whatever you've got. Unless I miss my mark, that is the edge of Radcliffe-on-Trent. And down there, that roaring sound, it's under the weir. We're on the Trent. This means we really are now into the final leg, and what a beautiful leg it is. There was a long bit of path from previous village that was a bit more exposed, not quite exciting, although the fields are nice. But then the last mile or so has been mostly under the trees, which I'm not sure it makes it any cooler, but at least it shades me from the day star, which has now come out. There is a bit of sunshine around, not a great deal, but enough. And yeah, I am looking forward to getting to Radcliffe, because Mrs. Larber has already texted me to let me know she's there waiting for me to pick me up. And I'm looking forward to climbing into an air-conditioned car and cooling down, and possibly never emerging again, because I am sticky and sweaty and horrid, as you'll see in a moment. So that was a walk of two halves, some lovely bits, some confusing bits, but on the whole, worth doing. Was it worth doing on a late June day when it was this horribly and humid? Possibly not. But anyway, I shall see you very soon for the very next episode of Walking with Llama's Paws.